Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news, keeping you up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United. So I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information on Paul Pogba. I have been keeping you up to date of what's been going on with Paul Pogba on a regular basis. Also going to be talking with you a bit more about Jadon Sancho, and I'll delve into a bit more topics a bit later on in the video. But obviously, today I've kept you up to date, of course, of what's been going on with Harry Kane, because there's a possibility chance that Manchester United could sign him when the transfer window does reopen. But I actually think the stumbling block could be Tottenham's substantial asking price, because Tottenham have said they want £200 million for him. I also, in my last video, give you the breaking news on Saul Niguez. Obviously, it mentioned that Atletico Madrid could be forced to sell Saul Niguez if they fail to qualify for the Champions League for next season. We're actually, seeing Saul Niguez as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. So I do keep you up to date as much as I can. And also, I did give you the news on my last video about, what's happened, with the season, when it's going to resume and that. Obviously, it's unknown at the moment, when the season is going to resume. Obviously, before the Premier League had a meeting today, obviously, there was talks about the Premier League resuming on the 6th of June, and the Premier League, did mention, that they wanted the season to come to a conclusion on the 30th of June. So what it meant is, they wanted to play like 2 or 3 games a week, but now this may not be happening, because Premier League clubs have had showdown talks today to establish plans for the remainder of the season and that. But we don't know, the exact date, when the season is going to resume. Probably, when it is safe to do so. But like I mentioned, if the season was to be voided, it'd be interesting to see how it would implicate the leagues. I think it did mention that Liverpool would still get the title if the season couldn't resume, because Liverpool only need 2 wins and they're sitting 25 points clear of Man City. But they would still get the title. But there was reports before saying that Liverpool could be denied the title if the season doesn't resume. And there was also, talks, about the teams who were in the relegation zone, would not be relegated. And there's also been talks of 22 teams being in the Premier League next season, and around 4 or 5 teams relegated. But it also did mention that Leeds and West Brom would come up from the Championship if the season wasn't to resume and that. Like I mentioned to you guys on my last video as well, I think there's around 57 players in the Premier League that could walk out of their clubs on the 1st of July, because their current contracts do expire on the 30th of June. But yeah, like I mentioned, I think some players' wages have been cut by around 30%. But yeah, in the meeting today, there was no debate about when the season's going to finish. So there was no mention of 30th of June. There was also no mentions of the issues of the players' wage cuts, and there was also no mention of the transfer windows and that. But the Premier League, I think, has been suspended since, like, is it the 12th or 13th of March? So it has been suspended now for over a month. And like UEFA, they're planning, to actually, play the Champions League final on August the 29th. But obviously, if that was to happen, that would interfere into next season. But yeah, so that's, all the latest news on that. So I just wanted to keep you up to date. So yeah, so now let's delve into some of the transfer news. So, I am going to be starting with Jadon Sancho. So I've just been reading recent reports regarding Jadon Sancho, and it reportedly says that last year Borussia Dortmund wanted Mason Greenwood as part of a swap deal of Jadon Sancho. So they wanted to sell Jadon Sancho to get Mason Greenwood on the board. Now, obviously, Man United have got no intentions of letting Mason Greenwood go, because, like I mentioned, I think Mason Greenwood has enjoyed a very, very good season for Manchester United, and this is his first full season in the senior squad. He seldom started in the Premier League this season, Mason Greenwood. He tends to start more like in, the Europa League games and that. But I hope going on into next season that Mason Greenwood, does get more opportunities in the Premier League. I think he scored like 12 or is it 13 goals in all competitions this season. Now, Mason Greenwood can play as a number 9, and he can also play him on the right hand side. So you can probably say he's a backup at the moment because he is still a bit inexperienced. He's only age 18 or something like that. But I think in the next year or so, Mason Greenwood, will emulate that level where he wants to be, and I think he will, emulate to Rashford's level, or probably will end up overtaking Marcus Rashford. So yeah, Dortmund have confirmed last year they wanted to get Mason Greenwood as part of a swap deal of selling Jadon Sancho and that, but obviously the swap deal didn't materialise, and like I mentioned, swap deals are very, very rare in the modern game. Now, obviously, it's been revealed that Jadon Sancho is a lifelong Chelsea fan. So there's still a slight chance that Jadon Sancho could go to Chelsea. Don't forget as well, Jadon Sancho began his career in London. Obviously, with Watford, because he was at Watford for several years. So yeah, it's been revealed Jadon Sancho is a lifelong Chelsea fan. Recently, he disregarded himself, making a move to Chelsea. We've been emerged as the favourites to sign Jadon Sancho because I think Sancho has revealed, that he wants to come to Manchester United. And one of the main explanations why he wants to come to Man United is because of obviously, the friendship he's got with Marcus Rashford. And obviously, Marcus Rashford did reveal that he wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. He wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. And I think, Jadon Sancho would go well alongside the likes of Rashford and Martial and that in our attacking line. And I think, if we could get Jadon Sancho in, I've got to be honest with you, it would be one of the club's best attacking trios. The last time I can recall us having a very, very good attacking trio, is, when we had, obviously, Ronaldo, Rooney and Tevez back under the Alex Ferguson era. But, Jadon Sancho would go well alongside, Rashford and Martial in our attacking line. And like I did mention to you, I think Rashford has been one of our best players this season. Obviously, before he got injured, because Marcus Rashford has been out with a back injury. And he's been out with this back injury since our win against Wolves in the FA Cup. But he's sustained quite a few injuries during his Manchester United career as Rashford. Obviously, up until this point, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with a football club. Obviously, he's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in our senior squad since 2016. And I think since then, he has become an integral part of our team as Marcus Rashford. Obviously, he's endured some difficult spells as a Man United player. But if the season does resume, I think it did get suspended indefinitely, because before it actually got extended indefinitely. Rashford, will be available again. But I think he's definitely the long-term future for Manchester United. And like I said on one of my videos before, I think we've got quite a few players, that are the long-term at the football club. But, Rashford can play the number 9 out wide, just like Greenwood can. But I think Solskjaer prefers Rashford out wide. I think Rashford's got like 19 goals in 31 games this season. My perception on Anthony Martial, and I probably think for Martial's perception, he'd like Jadon Sancho to come in. Now, obviously, there was the reports coming out regarding Martial, saying like, his relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could change. Solskjaer, has insisted that he's happy with Anthony Martial, because obviously, before the football season got suspended and that, Martial was in a good vein of form and he had rejuvenated himself. I think Martial's on 16 or is it 17 goals this season for the football club, and Martial is now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. I think one of the best seasons Anthony Martial endured was his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. He was very, very good under the Louis van Gaal era as Anthony Martial. Don't forget he scored on his debut against Liverpool. We paid around £36 million for Anthony Martial, potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million based on goals and achievements. We'd basically need to find Martial a permanent position. Obviously, he predominantly plays out wide on the left, but this particular season, obviously, we've been playing Anthony Martial in that number 9 role, and he is only at the age of 24. Now, obviously, my perception on Daniel James is that, is the possibility chance that, Manchester United could loan Daniel James out if Jadon Sancho was to come in now. Daniel James may find game time difficult if Jadon Sancho, was to come in when the transfer window reopens. Now, like I said, I think he's been a very, very good buy, Daniel James. He was a cheap solution. We paid like £15 million for him, was it? I think with add-ons included, it risen up to around, was it 18 million pounds. But he did enjoy a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Don't forget James scored in his Premier League debut against Chelsea. He scored against Lask just before the football season got suspended, and he ended his goal drought because that was his first goal since the 31st of August. Now, Daniel James obviously, can play on the left, he can play on the right, and I think we've played him in left and right this season. But, you tend to see the best of Daniel James on that left-hand side. Now, there's some aspects of his game that needs to improve, like I mentioned, his crossing, maybe his tracking back needs to improve. But I was reading the Daily Express the other day, and they said James Cooper, who is a Sky Sports reporter, he said even if Man United are to sign Jadon Sancho, Daniel James, will still remain at the football club. So we have got a lot of good attacking players, but if we could get Jadon Sancho in, it would be good business from the football club. Now, like I updated you on my video this morning, let's, revert back to what I said about Sancho. It did say, Jadon Sancho will only sign for Manchester United on one condition, and that's, if we can qualify for the Champions League for next season. And like I mentioned before, I think we need qualification for the Champions League anyway, to get the right calibre players into the football club. So, this is what it had basically said. Other positivity coming out regarding Sancho is that the La Liga experts recently confirmed that Real Madrid are no longer interested in Sancho because their preference is Mbappe over Sancho. I also think Real Madrid are in for Sadio Mane from Liverpool. And I think, we're the only club that are willing to meet Borussia Dortmund's valuation. Borussia Dortmund have said they want at least £100 million for Jadon Sancho. But I think, Man United will end up paying £120 million for the player if we get him on the board. But either figure is going to make him the most expensive British player in history. Also, too, is going to make him our most expensive signing, and it's going to make him a record signing in the Premier League. And I think it's beneficial for Jadon Sancho to come back to the Premier League anyway, like I mentioned. Because obviously, he's well proven in the Premier League. Obviously, don't forget Sancho's played in Manchester before. He had 2 years with Manchester City. But, never really got assured any first team opportunities at Man City. And this is the main explanation why I left Manchester City to join Borussia Dortmund. Now, Borussia Dortmund, selling him, they're going to make a huge profit on the play because, like I said, they only paid £7 or £8 million to him from Man City. But I think Borussia Dortmund have come to accept the fact that Jadon Sancho does want to leave, to obviously, rejuvenate his career. So Borussia Dortmund have got quite a few players now on their agenda who could replace him. Don't forget, they have been in for Ferran Torres from Valencia. Don't forget, recent reports confirmed that, Man United was set to battle Dortmund for his signature because we're seeing him as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. So if we miss out on Sancho, then we'll try and get Ferran Torres on the board. Ferran Torres has got an £87 million release clause in his contract with Valencia, but I think he's only got a year remaining on his contract with Valencia. It recently said that Borussia Dortmund had put around a £35 million bid in for Ferran Torres. But yeah, so we've been in contact with Jadon Sancho's agent for around 2 months now. We've been in contact with his agent. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano confirmed this quite a few weeks ago now. And Fabrizio Romano, tends to be he's a very, very reliable Italian journalist and that. But we've been relentlessly linked with Jadon Sancho. Don't forget we was in for him last year. But the main explanation why we didn't get him last year is because we had no Champions League football to offer. And there has been a lot of uncertainty over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future. But I think Sancho is our number one priority target for when the transfer window does reopen. I don't know if we've sorted his contract out yet, but it said quite a few weeks ago we was willing to offer Jadon Sancho around £400,000 a week. So, that figure, would make him the highest paid player as well as the most expensive signing at the football club. Obviously, I've got number 7 vacant at the moment. Like I said to you before, we've had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. Our recent number 7s, though, haven't been so good, and there's been narratives in the mainstream media saying that if Sancho is to come in, it's probably very, very likely, that we'll give him the number 7 shirt. But Sancho's still got a couple of years left on his contract with Dortmund. He's under contract with them until 2022. But I think since his arrival in Germany, I've got to be honest, he's been a revelation. But was dropped in quite a lot of games early on in the season. I think he's got like 30 odd goals in the past 2 seasons for Borussia Dortmund is Jadon Sancho. So yeah, so that's the latest news on him. Dortmund confirmed last year, they inquired about Mason Greenwood. I've obviously, they inquired about getting Mason Greenwood as part of a swap deal, for Jadon Sancho. So that's the breaking news on that. Now, let's delve into the news on Paul Pogba. Like I mentioned, I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Paul Pogba on a regular basis. So, the news is on Paul Pogba, and this is stemming from this La Liga expert. I think it's something Balag. I can't pronounce his full name, but you know who I mean anyway. So, yeah, this is stemming from La Liga expert. He actually, says that, Paul Pogba will sign a new contract at Manchester United. Now, obviously, as it stands at the moment, Pogba's got 2 years remaining on his contract at Man United. I think 1 year, but the club do have an option to extend his contract for a further year. Now, I think, Manchester United fans, have got different perceptions on Pogba. Some United fans would like to see Paul Pogba stay, and some United fans, would like to see Paul Pogba. Some United fans, would like to see Paul Pogba leave the football club when the transfer window does reopen. Now, there has been quite a lot of uncertainty over, Paul Pogba's future at the football club. Like I mentioned, Ed Woodward's had quite a few negotiations with Mini Raiola to try and resolve Paul Pogba's future. Obviously, Paul Pogba has made an admission saying, that he does want to leave Manchester United when the transfer window does reopen. So, basically, Pogba's got the same perception, as what he had last summer. Because don't forget, Paul Pogba revealed last summer that he wanted to leave the football club because he said he was seeking for a new challenge. And like I mentioned, he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave Manchester United, and his actual preference, was to make a move to Real Madrid last summer. But if you do remember rightly, we priced Paul Pogba out of the summer transfer market, because we wanted £180 million for him, and Real Madrid, were not willing to meet that £180 million valuation. So this is why his move to Madrid didn't materialise. And don't forget, last year Paul Pogba was talking a lot. He was talking a lot, about playing for Real Madrid and playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance and stuff like that, and how much of a dream it would be to play for Real Madrid. But like I said, Real Madrid are still looking to make more investment in their squad. Provided, that they made around 5 or 6 signings last summer and spent, was it in the 2 or 300 odd million pound range on them. And Real Madrid are still obviously, looking to offload players. Like I mentioned, looking to get rid of James Rodriguez, they're looking to get rid of Bale, they're looking to get rid of Dani Ceballos on a permanent transfer. So let's just put that into the equation. But yeah, so do you think, Paul Pogba, will sign a new contract at Manchester United? So this is stemming from the La Liga expert. If Paul Pogba, was to sign a new contract at the football club, definitely, he'll want a huge increase on his wages. Probably Paul Pogba would demand at least 400 grand a week if he was to sign a new contract at the football club, maybe even more than that. But definitely can assure Paul Pogba, would want to be the highest paid player at the football club. And as it stands at the moment, Paul Pogba, he's one of the highest paid players at the club now because he's on around £300,000 a week on his current contract. I think it did say the other week, that we'd opened negotiations over possibly, getting Paul Pogba a new contract at the football club. Now, revert back, to before the football season was suspended, and Solskjaer mentioned this in his press conference building up to the last game. He actually, says that, Paul Pogba will remain at Manchester United next season. Also, Mark Boswich, former Man United goalkeeper, he's come out today and said that Paul Pogba will stay. And around 3 or 4 weeks ago, Paul Pogba did say he was interested in staying at Manchester United, and he was interested in extending his contract at the football club and that. And he revealed one of the main explanations why Pogba wanted to remain at the club, because he believes he can form a good partnership with Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. Because we're aware, and Pogba himself is aware, that Bruno Fernandes has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Because let's be honest, Bruno Fernandes has made the difference in the team. He's definitely made the difference in the team. His decision making is good, very, very instrumental, Bruno Fernandes, and he is like 2 players in one. And, don't forget, got Premier League Player of the Month for February, reflecting on his good run of performances. And I think Bruno Fernandes, can succeed at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, he can. And Bruno Fernandes recently revealed, what convinced him, to come to Manchester United, and it was reflecting on the attitude of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So basically, Solskjaer's looking for someone to partner with Bruno Fernandes. If Paul Pogba is to remain at the football club for another year at least, then maybe, we won't get a midfielder in. I think we'll only consider getting a midfielder in if Paul Pogba does decide to leave the football club. Now, Paul Pogba's only played 8 times this season for Manchester United. His appearances have been limited due to his injuries. The last time he played was on Boxing Day, and the last time he started from the start was back in September. But Pogba sustained quite a few injuries during his Manchester United career, so let's just put that into the equation. Don't forget, Pogba, has been talking to the United podcast a lot recently, and he said quite a few interesting stuff. Obviously, he was saying like his mother always told him he would return to Man United. Because obviously, Paul Pogba left the football club back in 2012 because he went to Juventus, and don't forget, Paul Pogba endured 4 good years with Juventus. We had to let him go on a free transfer because when we had him under Alex Ferguson, he only made a couple of appearances, so actually, his appearances then were limited at the football club. Also, too, it had confirmed, he had responded to the criticism that he has received from Graham Souness, because don't forget, Graham Souness has been criticising Paul Pogba persistently. But Paul Pogba, had ignored it for a while, and obviously, Paul Pogba recently made an admission and said, he was an Arsenal fan when he was younger, and the main explanation for that is because he loved Thierry Henry. And it said back in 2016 as well, like I said to you yesterday, Pogba had agreed to join Real Madrid, but, we persuaded him, to join Man United instead, through social media. So, this is what happened. If he doesn't go to Madrid, probably if he leaves, I think he'll definitely, make a return back to Juventus. I think, going back to Juventus is his first choice, to be quite honest with you. And like I mentioned, swap deals have been on the agenda. They have been on the agenda of swap deals. Obviously, Ramsey talks about him the other week coming as part of a swap deal for Pogba. Talks of, Matthias de Ligt as well. I think there's still talks of that going on now. But, believe it or not, like I mentioned earlier, Paul Pogba may not even leave the football club, but, we shall see what happens. So, some people actually, believe that, Paul Pogba will stay at Manchester United. But Mini Raiola, his agent, has been talking a lot, since the turn of the year. And don't forget, Mini Raiola has got good relations with Real Madrid, and Paul Pogba's got a good relationship with Zinedine Zidane. So that's the breaking news on Paul Pogba. I obviously, give you the news earlier on as well, didn't I, regarding Jack Grealish. Reportedly now Manchester United are no longer interested in Jack Grealish because Ed Woodward's confirmed his preference is to get a holding midfielder rather than getting Jack Grealish in. So maybe now Manchester United won't sign Jack Grealish when the transfer window does reopen. We've actually recently revealed that Jack Grealish is our preference over James Maddison, because James Maddison is another midfielder that has been on our agenda. So that is the latest on the transfer news. I also want to go through with you, I think the players that are going to leave Manchester United, when the transfer window does reopen, I think we're definitely going to get rid of Phil Jones, because, Phil Jones can't even get into the team now. Phil Jones has been a long-serving player at Manchester United. Phil Jones is now into his 9th season at the club. He has been here since the Alex Ferguson era as Phil Jones. But he can't get into the team now. I think he's like our 5th choice centre-back. You've got Maguire and Victor Lindelof that are our 5th choice centre-halves, and you've got Bailly and Tuanzebe that are our backup centre-halves, and that's so Jones cannot get in the team, and we can cash in for him if we let him go. I think we could get maybe £12-13 million for him. I think we'll definitely get rid of Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira, because, they're 2 liabilities at the football club, Lingard and Andres Pereira. Obviously, there's been recent narratives in the mainstream media saying that Arsenal have been in for Jesse Lingard. That got reported from The Athletic the other week, saying that Arsenal have been in for him. Everton have also expressed their interest in Jesse Lingard, but I can assure Jesse Lingard will leave the football club. And like I said before, reflecting on Jesse Lingard's status and the number of years he's been at Manchester United, he should be putting much more better performances out. Should Jesse Lingard and that. And, don't forget, he hasn't registered 1 goal or 1 assist in the Premier League for over a year. And I think Jesse Lingard's got exactly now a year left on his contract at Manchester United. But, he's found game time difficult since Fernandes came in. And my perception on Pereira, he's enjoyed some good games for Man United, but he only became a regular last season anyway. Don't forget, Pereira had loan spells with Granada. He also had loan spells with Valencia. So, yeah, I can definitely guarantee they're going to leave. Pereira, is finding game time difficult now anyway since Scott McTominay came back. So let's just put that into the equation because McTominay's just come back from injury not too long ago. Chris Smalling, I'm very, very sceptical, that he'll come back to Manchester United. I think we'll negotiate on getting rid of Chris Smalling on a permanent transfer. There again, it did say, that Roma have got financial difficulties, so they may not be able to get him permanently. Roma do want to get him permanently though, because Chris Smalling's done very, very well on his loan spell with Roma. I've got to be honest with you. It's his first season in Italy with Roma. Obviously, Smalling did enjoy 9 years at Man United. I think we want around £25 million to get rid of him permanently, but we shall see what happens. Sanchez, we do want to get rid of him on a permanent transfer, but we're going to find it very, very difficult, reflecting on his substantial wages, because reports said the other week that Sanchez, was refusing to take a pay cut. So maybe we won't be able to get rid of him on a permanent transfer. And like I said, Sanchez did enjoy a difficult 18 months with Manchester United and that. And he was on like £500,000 a week at Man United with image rights and bonuses included. His wages were having a really bad effect on the club. But Sanchez now is on loan at Inter Milan, but despite the fact he's on loan at Inter Milan, we're still paying the vast majority of his wages. Rojo, don't forget recently Rojo did say that he wants his loan spell extended at Estudiantes because he's on loan at Estudiantes, and I think we'll probably negotiate on getting rid of Rojo on a permanent transfer, because like I mentioned, Rojo's like our 6th choice centre half, so I can't see him coming back to Manchester United and that. So yeah, I think they're the players that are possibly going to leave the football club. Pogba, obviously it's debatable at the moment. I can't assure that Paul Pogba's going to leave the football club. Now, like I mentioned to you, I'm going to put this on my title video. I think Manchester United can become title contenders next season, and that's providing we do get the right calibre players in when the transfer window does reopen. Now, obviously, Solskjaer has already revealed his plans for the summer transfer window. Obviously, he wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United like he did do last summer. Obviously, he's got the backing of Ed Woodward, and he's also got the backing of the Glazers. And Solskjaer, does want to make around 4 signings when the transfer window reopens, because he believes we need around 4 signings to become title contenders next season. Now, if Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager when it reopens, he will be his 4th transfer window as Manchester United manager, because so far Solskjaer has enjoyed 3 transfer windows at the football club, and he's recruited 5 players in and spent around £220 million. This is, what Solskjaer has done so far. So I've got, to give him credit, of the players that he has brought in. I think there's a total, though, of around 14 players on our agenda. So these are a lot of players on our agenda in that. And obviously, Solskjaer has identified the areas, where he does want to currently strengthen up. He has identified the areas. But Solskjaer recently says, we will exploit the transfer market when it does reopen. A lot of teams under financial pressure across the world due to the coronavirus pandemic. So quite a few clubs are going to have to, sell quite a few of their players to generate money in that. So Solskjaer, believes, we can compete in the transfer market when it does reopen. I've got to say, we have improved in the transfer market under Solskjaer. What I mean is, we have been a bit more sensible with our recruitment and that. But I hope, going on to next season, we can enjoy a better season than what we've enjoyed this season. Obviously, I know before the football season got suspended, we've been in a good vein of form, and we are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions. But for the vast majority of this season, right from the beginning, we have been inconsistent in that. and we've enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season for 30 years. For 30 years and that. But Solskjaer has got a lot of honesty about him, and that's one thing I do credit him for. But he does deserve more time at Manchester United, like I mentioned. I think he does deserve at least two more transfer windows at the football club. And he's been here now 16 months, so he has been at the football club over the year. Obviously, our recruitment policy, let's be honest, has been very, very poor, at least for the last 6 or 7 years. And obviously, a lot of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. In certain aspects, it does. Certain aspects, some of the blame stems from Woodward. Yeah, obviously, with our poor recruitment policies being. Obviously, we've known for overpaying for players in recent years. 75 million for Lukaku, 89 million for Pogba. 50 million for Fred, 40 million pounds for Matic, 80 million pounds for Harry Maguire. So we are known for overpaying for players. And like I mentioned, we have recruited over 30 odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era. And quite a lot of the players we've recruited in over the years haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. Maybe there's players we've got rid of over the years, who Manchester United shouldn't have got rid of. And we've actually spent nearly £1 billion on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 years. Don't forget though, Ed Woodward's no longer involved in our recruitment process. That's very, very good news. Best piece of news since the Ferguson era. And he's obviously got no intentions of appointing a director of footballing as Ed Woodward. But Man United have been very critical of Woodward. The club have also had doubts about the club's ownership. The Glazers. The Glazers, I think, have taken over £1 billion out of the football club, since they came in. So let's just put that into the equation. But Solskjaer needs time, because like I mentioned, it takes some managers time to settle in. Ferguson, he didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club when he came in. But look what he went and accomplished after not winning out in his first 4 years. We had 20 odd years of success under Ferguson. And obviously, won the vast majority of our silverware under Alex Ferguson. But I can assure Solskjaer won't invoke Ferguson's legacy, but no manager will invoke Ferguson's legacy in that. But since Ferguson retired, we have been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years, and that, like I mentioned, we've had different managers with different philosophies and that. But, yeah. So, yeah, I think Man United can challenge for the title next season. I really, really do. But at the moment, City are strides ahead of us, and, Liverpool are strides ahead of us. So let's just put that into the equation. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.